Ever wonder about what witnesses do on Steemit? Curious to know what projects and initiatives are in production to make your time on Steemit more productive? This is the podcast for you. Your co-hosts, Andre and Shane, will talk about witnesses, what they do, what projects they have in development, and what concerns about the blockchain and Steemit.com they're focused on. They'll also invite the men and women who run witness nodes onto the show to discuss their roles, responsibilities, and goals. Welcome to The State of the Witness. Steemit Incorporated, the writer's block, and their respective owners take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the talk show hosts or their guests. Statements and show topics are not necessarily the beliefs of the writer's block or of Steemit Incorporated. The material on the State of the Witness webcast is provided for educational and informational purposes only. Hello, everybody, to another episode of the State of the Witness podcast. As always, I am Anarcho Andre, witness, aspiring author, and guy who just does not have nearly enough time to get everything done that he needs to be. And I am joined, as always, today by my good friend Shane.
And I am Shane. I'm an aspiring witness these days, I think. I'm no longer really a witness. I'm an aspiring witness, I think. That's what it seems like. How about you?
I think that's true of both of us. I keep struggling to get ahead from where I'm at. It's not the best place to be where I'm at right now. I'm still working on it, but I think we're in pretty decent shape, the both of us.
You took a pretty nice little jump this week, though, didn't you?
Yes, I did, and that is thanks to Jerry Banfield, good old Jerry, getting a whole bunch of proxy votes, which boosted me up into rank 90, I believe. Rank 90 on the total listed, and then I think 83 or 82.
83. Yeah, I see you right there. So what happened? I thought you yelled at him and he removed the vote and you got that back, did you? Or am I
Yes.
making that up?
No. That actually did in fact happen. He sent me a message asking why I wasn't voting, or let me see if I remember correctly how it happened. At some point, he had removed his vote from me, and he sent me a message on steemit.chat, and saying something along the lines of, "Oh, well, I removed my vote from you because I want to place my vote where it's going to do the most good for the people that are voting for me." And so I was like, "Oh, okay. So what you're saying is, in your opinion, your votes matter only when the people you're voting for vote for you back. Correct?" And so he kind of floundered around a little bit. I don't think he realized that was the direction that conversation was going to go. And I was like, "Oh, I'm not making accusations. I just want to be clear. You're saying that good votes for you are votes for people that vote you back. Just want to make sure that I'm perfectly clear on this." I was like, if you can give me a reason to vote for you, I'll unvote somebody else and vote for you instead. Like, I mean, it's your vote. You do whatever you want with it. I mean, sure, it would help me tremendously. I'm not going to tell you it won't, but that's up to you. You do whatever you feel is right.
Oh, look at you. So then what happened? Did you get it back? Did you end up voting for him? What?
Well, I ended up getting it back, and I know I'm going to catch flack for this. I already know I'm going to catch flack for this. However,
Oh no!
yes, I have a vote in my witness line for Jerry Banfield. But let me explain because I do have a reason for this. It was not vote for vote, I promise you. It was not. This actually was brought on by, I want to say it was Lexiconicals. Lexiconical does the witness highlights, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this happened, I think, like about a week after that, after I had that conversation with Jerry. And so I was reading through his witness highlight, and I didn't realize this at the time, but Jerry has actually invested an enormous amount of money in Google AdSense, or rather working through Google to drive traffic or to increase visibility of other blog posts. Like, for example, the one specifically that they talked about was Wired.com's article about Steemit. And so he spent a fairly large amount of money pushing those ads so that they'll be more widely received and read by a larger number of people, such that it'll drive traffic to Steemit, right? So I had read that, and I was like, well, you know, I'm not going to forgive him for all the other bullshit he's done. And he is a pretty slimy character, but I'll give credit where credit's due.
But
That's actually
AdSense. Oh, this is gonna be fun.
well, okay. So to be fair, I didn't quite understand um, the process by which this whole thing works because I don't know anything about Google Ads or how that any of that Google Analytics shit works. I mean, I have a like a vague idea. You can pump money into certain things to push certain things to the forefront of users' search experience or whatever on Facebook, right? Is that correct, or am I accurate on that, or is
Yeah, it's basically there's a nice tool in there which you can use to come up with keywords that are found. So when people put in these keywords, your ad is more likely to show up. And then the more you bid, the more money you bid for a particular ad, the more times that ad will appear when someone does a search with whatever terms that you put in.
okay? So I think I'm almost certain that's what was being discussed. I need to actually pull up the article to refresh my memory because I don't quite remember. It made sense at the time, but I don't quite remember how all of that was going. But there were a couple of screenshots where it actually showed a large amount of money invested per month. I mean, large being a relative term, it was large for me, but it was a significant investment. And the whole purpose of that was to link or to increase visibility of articles on other blogs and other websites that were talking about Steemit to other people in the hopes of getting them to see them, click on them, read about it, and get over to Steemit. So that way, it wasn't just pushing Steemit content; it was pushing other people's articles about Steemit. So I couldn't. I mean, like I said, he's slimy. He's super slimy, and
Yes, he
I
is.
feel. I mean, I felt gross about it. I still kind of do a little bit. But like I said, I have to give him credit for investing money into a marketing scheme to try and expand the visibility of Steemit. So it's I mean, I can't fault him for that. You know what I mean? That's actually not a bad thing.
Right, but is he pushing Steam It or is he pushing Jerry Banfield on Steam It?
As far as I'm aware, he's not pushing himself. He's pushing independent articles about Steemit,
Interesting. Oh
which
well.
again is why in the article, the Wired.com article about Steemit is the one that's cited as the link that he's pushing. So, I maybe it's him. I don't think so though, because that's again. I mean, if that was the case, why would he even bother with that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. All I know is you are now Jerry Leva.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm gonna get shit for it. I already know this. I know this, and I'm aware of it, and I stand by what I said. He's a slimy son of a bitch, and he's done a lot of fucked up things. However, that being said, again, credit where credit's due. Every time he's found out, he stops immediately what he's doing. So,
Well, yeah, yeah. He stopped murdering once he was caught. So,
okay, this isn't
no,
murder.
no.
Come on now. Okay,
Yeah,
like,
I know, but let's take that down to let's take it out there. Well, he does a bunch of shady shit, but once he's caught, he stops doing that shady shit, moves to some other shady shit until he's caught.
well, and see, here's the thing, because this has always been the thing that's really irked me about it. Because I mean, as you know, and as other people know, I'm an anarcho-capitalist. So, as long as there's a market demand and somebody seeks to fill that demand, and they don't defraud people, I don't necessarily take issue with it on its face. Like I don't have a moral issue with it simply as it is, right? Um, and I don't think it can be said that Jerry has actually defrauded anybody.
So, well, okay, that's fair enough. Defraud would be providing something that you are providing, not providing what you're promising. Is that what you would
Yeah, that's
classify as
yeah, that's
frauding?
that yeah, that's fraud. So you say, "Oh, hey, I'm going to give you this, this, and this if you pay me $99.99." Then you get the payment, and nobody hears from you again, right? Like the
Okay, yeah.
fly-by-night sellers on eBay.
So in your opinion, the bottling up of the free information on how to become a witness for $180, and then when people have questions, putting them towards Steam at chat, um, that's good. That's okay?
No, no. And see, this is why I have to clarify, because the minute I say that, that's the first response everybody does. Like, oh, well, so you accept it? No, that's not what I said. I said that he's not guilty of fraud. So on its face, he hasn't actually done anything, that's to say illegal or morally wrong. Now, the beautiful part about the market is when somebody engages in shitty business practices, which is exactly what Jerry does. For example, the witness program for $180, comprised of a whole bunch of free information that you can find on Steemit. Yeah, that's shit. That is absolute fucking garbage. That is the trashiest of trash. It's the sleaziest of sales techniques. You take something that's available for free and you charge people for it. However, given that it's not fraud, I don't take issue with it on its face. Now, because it's such a shitty business practice, I think everybody is well within their rights to crucify him publicly for it. And he should
N-
be. And he
Would
should be.
would you consider it intellectual theft if it's other people's work?
No, because I don't believe in
That's
IP.
no. Well, I
No.
mean, I understand you don't believe in it, but I mean, I don't believe in Santa Claus, but I know the idea of Santa Claus is out there. Sort of like IP is an actual legal term, even if you do or don't believe. Do you know what I'm saying? There is intellectual property, whether you agree with it or not.
Well, and that's my point. Because I don't agree that there should be IP, I don't take issue with him translating information to provide as a whole what would be available in parts. Like I don't take issue with that personally, because I personally think IP is bullshit. So that's not a point of contention for me.
Stephanus, I would agree if this was free information that wasn't available like a half a click away. Um, when it's on the same platform and it's put together by the other witnesses that are on here and he's using it, it's not really a legitimate service because he didn't service anybody.
Yeah,
All he did,
exactly.
all he did was package up um, and saved maybe one click. That's not a service. That's taking advantage.
Yeah, and exactly, and that's why I think he should rightly be crucified for his bullshit, shitty practices. But I mean, there again, there's a difference between boycotting and ostracizing and saying, "Oh, you did something that was actually wrong," right?
I'm not going to be done until you're pouring boiling oil on them.
Well, I mean, okay, I tell you what. If he does another bullshit thing, I'll remove my vote. How about that? I'll be happy to do that.
You know what? Stand your ground, man. Tell me to stand down. You did your vote, and that's the way it's going to be. Stand up. Be strong.
Yeah, I know, but he just makes me feel slimy. He does.
I know he
It's
does,
I
but here
mean,
you are. You just allowed me to talk you out of that. One more thing, and you can't do that. You got to stand up. Say, Shane,
what the
shut your
hell? What
mouth.
is it? What is
Say
this
it.
bullshit reverse psychology you're pulling? I don't know. No, 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 no. I'm not falling for that shit. No, well, I mean, okay, and honestly and truly, like
Nice. I was so hoping that would go that way.
you
Oh, that
done,
just makes
you
me so
done.
happy. I am. I am.
Like I said, I know I'm going to catch shit for this. I know I am, because Jerry is like universally reviled, and he should be. I mean, he's like the ultimate sleazeball car salesman. But at the same time, a used car salesman is still selling a legitimate good. I mean, they're not engaged in illegitimate business unless they're defrauding people. And as far as I can tell, he hasn't actually defrauded anybody. He's just a sleazy used car salesman. So,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
That's fair enough. I agree with that.
So,
Oh, I'm
so
so glad
personal
you took the
preferences
bait.
aside, he actually does do some good, and he is a spokesperson for the platform. He's a very big spokesperson for himself. Obviously he promotes the shit out of himself, but I mean that's a valid skill. I wish I had more quality of self promotion, but I'm not Jerry Banfield, and I'm not going to charge people $50 to sign up for Steam It when there's a service that provides it for like $6. Trust me, I was on that bandwagon
I
hard. I
no,
fucking
I know.
I wrecked shit.
I'm just so happy. I was so happy I was able to reverse that. That just made my week.
I'll bet it did. Speaking of making your week, so you and I both now have 32 gigabyte servers set up.
Yes, we do. I attempted. Dracos told me about the swap file trick. I went online and I actually got the swap file set up. So, in theory, for people that don't know what a swap file is, it allows you to move your physical um, RAM memory and sort of make a copy of it on your hard drive that you can use your hard drive as RAM memory. So, right now, the Steam blockchain is, I believe it's up over 15 gigs at this
Yep,
point.
15.4 last I looked.
And, I had a 16 gig server. So, my first attempt was okay, let me see if I can squeeze another month out of this server. And I was going to attempt the swap file, which would trick the computer into saying that the hard drive itself was memory. Um, didn't go so hot, so it may work, but I don't know if you saw the picture I dropped in the witness channel here, but I had red everywhere. It wasn't looking good. Um, so yeah, I went ahead and shut it down and got my 32 gig server, got that up and running last night, and I'm sitting there and I've been through all these commands. I don't know how many times, countless times. But last night, I could not think. I felt like a brand noob again doing all this. And I knew all the answers, but it was like I wasn't fully confident. So I'm sitting there, I texted you some questions, I texted Draco some questions, and there were questions I already knew the answer to, but I was just like, oh, I'm noob again. Ah, it's rough.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I've asked dumb questions too. So I think it happens to everyone every once in a while because like especially for setting up a witness node, which as I've said, there's really not a whole lot to actually running a witness node. You get the server, you set the server up, and then unless there's a problem, you just let it run. So if this isn't something that you're engaged in daily, you tend to get a little rusty. I mean, it's not. It is like riding a bike in that once you start getting into it, it kind of comes back to you, especially if you've done it a few times. But there is that like initial block in your head about like, okay, so what the hell did I do last time? Whoa,
Yeah,
what the hell did I do last time?
right. And, I'm sitting there and I looked at it and I was like, I know exactly what I need to do. But it was still just like, I don't know. I don't know what it was, but I was having a rough time last night. At least I finally got it and it's up and running and seems to be going smooth so far.
Well, there you go. And for those of you listening that are unfamiliar with swap files, because Shane explained about basically what they are, it's you tell the computer to use the hard drive as RAM. The problem with that, and this is particularly critical for us as witnesses because we only have a limited amount of time to sign blocks that we get. So every time a witness gets a block, there's a short window of time that you have to sign it. If you don't sign it within that window of time, uh, it registers as a missed block. So you've missed your chance to sign it, and it goes to another witness. Missed blocks are not good. That's an indication that your hardware is either not properly set up or it's not fast enough to handle the job. So either way, it's not good for you as a witness. The problem with swap files is the hard drive does not run nearly as fast as RAM does. RAM operates very, very quickly, which is why it's the preferred method for doing witnessing because you don't have to worry about the possibility of missing a block because you took too long. But if you're using a swap file off of your hard drive, that hard drive will load however long it takes it to load, and you may end up missing blocks, which I think is what ended up happening to you.
Yeah, I think it is what happened. Mine didn't have an SSD. I was on just a regular, you know, old school hard
Yeah,
drive.
yeah.
And I bet if I was on a solid state, I think I might have been able to get away with it for a week at least, with the amount of blocks that I see. Um, I certainly wouldn't want to try that if I'm in the top 50 or so.
More blocks than probably I'll ever see. But yeah. Yeah, Roger.
No, no, I'm barely above you at this point. You are right. You were right on my tail.
Yeah, okay.
I'm number 86, active rank 79.
And I am
You,
90.
yeah,
Well,
that's
actually,
right
yeah,
on my tail.
I guess that's not that far away.
Yeah, unless the
I'm
birdie
probably not
say,
going to get anywhere near there ever though. So, I'm just tempering my
no,
expectations.
you know what you need. What you've got to do your a witness project and get your name out there. That's what I've started to, and I've been staring at the computer every night, and actually haven't started it. But yeah, you got to get that witness project going, whatever that may be.
Well,
and
and
just
actually,
make it a thing.
I had an idea for that. The only problem is I'm still not there yet. I'm not going to be there for a couple of years before I really have the expertise to launch an actual witness program. And I wrote a post about it. It was one of my witness updates. But my plan, once I have my law degree in hand and once I've passed the bar for Alabama, is as an attorney, since I will at that point be a licensed attorney, I will offer people legal advice on Steemit.
Ooh, in exchange for Steam?
Yeah, Steam or SBD. I mean, I'm not planning on billing by the hour for this because that's stupid. I'm not going to do that. But I want to be able to provide at least people in the United States, because obviously I'm American. I'm not. I don't know what the laws are in other countries. But for people in the United States that just want, they have a legal question, like say they want to take something to small claims or so on and so forth. I want to be able to offer them at least some advice and some answers to questions that they have, some basic premise questions, so that way they kind of have an idea of what direction they need to go. Now, obviously, I can't actually go to court and file documents for people. That's not what this is going to be. But I want to say WebMD has a service where you can like actually ask a doctor a question. It's going to be kind of like that, except with legal questions.
So it's going to give you a pretty close idea, but you need to see your real doctor or your own attorney for details for your state or wherever you may be.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I mean, for example, somebody has an issue with an estate sale because one of their family members died and they bequeathed them some stuff in a will, and so they want to know, okay, well, what do I need to? Is there anything I need to file? As far as do I need to take my stuff to the probate court and let it clear, or can I just sell it right away? I can answer questions like those, and if there are further legal proceedings that they need to go through, um, I can point them in the right direction. Say, okay, well, this is what you need to do. So if you want to go talk to an attorney, this is basically what you're going. This is the process you're going to have to follow with your attorney. So that way you have an idea going in what all it's going to take. And if people want to do it themselves, if people want to represent themselves pro se and like say a speeding ticket or a DUI, I can give them an idea of, okay, well, this is how the process is going to go. This is what you're going to need to do. Here's some advice as a lawyer as far as what you should present to strengthen your case. So basically a consultation, right? So that's what I want to provide as a
Yeah.
consultation service for legal advice.
Hey, so are you writing about the subjects you're learning right now? So, as your own little study guide and putting it out there?
Yeah, I tried that for a while, but there's just not enough time.
Come on, that's how Pat Flynn made his start.
Yeah, I know. There's not enough time. I don't have like. Let me put it this way. The amount of time that I spend briefing cases and reading is insane. Like I haven't had enough time to effectively create outlines for any of my courses. Now I started doing adventures in law school with that in mind because I had that idea in mind because I figured, okay, well, my homework assignments are only going to take like an hour, a couple hours, and then I'll just copy paste them over into a Steemit post, and then we'll call it a day, good to go, rock and roll. Come to find out, it doesn't work that way because it takes fucking forever. Jesus, like all of my time is eaten up trying to brief cases and read and try and take notes because half the time I don't like when I try and take notes from the reading, half the time it takes me like an additional hour and a half in what would already be like a 2 hour sit down and read. So
Ugh.
it's like how college textbooks you can kind of skim through them because they have keywords and key terms kind of highlighted and you can sort of get
Right.
definitions and whatever. Yeah, that's not how any of these law books work at all. So you pretty much have to read the entire text that's assigned to you, which most of the time every day is about 50 pages per class.
Ugh. Oh,
Yeah.
I don't like that.
So I'm reading a good like 4 to 500 pages of legal text every week.
And that's as dry and as boring as it can be.
Actually,
Bland.
as,
Well, yeah, you're in school for it, so you probably find it exciting.
well, no, it's not even that. It's not even that. And this is something I've come to find out. Uh, Judges for trial courts, for like the federal district courts and the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court, especially appellate judges. So, like, you've already gone through a trial and you're appealing the decision that was made. Appellate court justices and Supreme Court justices have a biting wit. They have a fantastic sense of humor that every once in a while comes out in the decisions, and it's it's pretty good. There's some cases that have made me chuckle while I was reading them, so it's been
Well,
worthwhile.
what sort of example? You can't just say that and not have examples set up.
Okay, so let's take my civil procedure class. We read one. It was with regards to crap. What was it? Abuse of discretion, right? We're talking about standards for review as far as abuse of discretion goes. So the appellate court can choose to review a case. So they can either for the appellate court, in order for them to hear a case, you have to first have had a case at trial, right? And then the losing party can then file an appeal with the next higher court, which is usually an appellate court. In the United States, it's the circuit courts in the federal jurisdiction. And so once it gets up to the appellate judge, they look at it and they have to decide, okay, well, number one, what's the issue here? So was it an abuse of discretion? And so the case that I'm talking about, both of the parties, or actually, no, it wasn't an abuse of discretion. I take that back. That was another one. The one I'm talking about, one of the parties wanted to appeal the decision, but they couldn't. They were barred from doing that. So both of the parties, so one party sued the other party. It was two like businesses that sued each other, right? And they filed their suits. They gave their arguments, whatever. And then the neither of the parties were there for the judgment being entered. So once they presented their arguments, they never came back to court, which the trial court judge was like, okay, I guess we'll do it this way then. So enter the judgment, whatever. And so there weren't any objections filed, right? So neither party objected to anything else that was done. And they didn't object to the jury, the instructions to the jury or anything else. And so the jury rendered a verdict in favor of, I think, the plaintiff. And the judge read the verdict, entered a judgment. And then the plaintiff tried to appeal the judgment on the jury instructions, saying that the jury instructions were incorrect, that they should have been formulated another way. So he appealed it to the appellate court, and the appellate court was like, well, jury instruction objections are a thing, and sometimes the trial court judge does get it wrong. And when the trial court judge gets it wrong, the plaintiff and defendant are welcome to object to it, and when they object to it at trial, they can then go ahead and appeal it and bring the case to us, and then we can decide on it if they're there to appeal it. Sadly, neither party was there, and so the judge was left holding the bag and did the best he could. And since neither of you guys were there, I'm sorry, sucks to suck. You're gonna have to live with it. Which was a lot of information to take in all at once, but essentially, like, both of the parties were not there for the judgment. And then one of the parties tried to appeal it, and the appellate judge was like, well, if you'd have been there, you could have, but you weren't, so sucks. Sorry. And you can read the disdain in his voice. He's just like, I don't know why anyone would do this. Why would you do this? And not only that, why would you do this and then try and make an issue out of it because you did it wrong in the first place? So every once in a while, you get cases like that where you hear the judge say, like, how awful a particular party has done things, or like how awful a judge behaved, and just like very scathing, dry, sarcastic humor that comes through.
Interesting.
And then there was another one with it was.
I'm sorry, I'm just in that sort of jackassy mood tonight.
Son of a bitch.
I wanted to see how long I could go with it, just leaving you hanging there after. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Well, and then there was another one, which was the abuse of discretion one I was talking about earlier. So a guy sued Mazda for a defective car, right? And the judge at the trial was clearly in favor of the guy suing and not in favor of Mazda. Like, there was very, very clear bias from the start. So the dude asked for a whole bunch of documents, like tons of information from Mazda. Mazda objected, of course. They were like, this is an enormous amount of information. It's going to cost us a lot of money to come up with this. Judge, can we work something out? Judge doesn't even respond. Doesn't rule, doesn't say anything. Leaves it to the plaintiff. And so Mazda's like, okay, I guess. And it keeps kind of going along that line of, the plaintiff makes ridiculous and outrageous requests. The judge says nothing. Mazda is forced to continue on to another type of defense to try and get themselves out of it. And it finally comes to the point where the discovery issue is such a problem that Mazda is appealing directly to the judge. Like, Judge, this is way more than this plaintiff needs in order for their case, and we really need you to make some sort of decision about this.
Okay.
And the judge says, okay, look, this shouldn't be an issue for me to decide. You should be able to figure it out amongst yourselves, and if you can't figure it out amongst yourselves, I'm just going to punish one of you guys. And of course they end up punishing Mazda, and Mazda's like, what the fuck? And so they appeal it up, and the appellate court is like, you can't possibly be serious, right? And they go through and they list out all of the reasons why Mazda was in the right and why the plaintiff was in the wrong, and they sharply rebuke the trial court judge, saying something like, there were ample opportunities for the trial court judge to act like a judge, but unfortunately in this case all of those opportunities were missed. And you got to keep in mind, as a judge, the worst possible thing that can happen for your reputation is for you to get overturned. That's not something that you want to have happen. That's not something you even want to consider having to happen. And you can get sanctions imposed on you for being too much of a douchebag. I mean, most judges are going to be douchebags anyway, but if you're way beyond the pale, that's when bad things happen. And that was terrible. I was reading the whole time I was reading, I'm like, are you fucking serious? Jesus, if I was Mazda's counsel, I would be so pissed.
Yeah, it's pretty funny though. Funny, going to take it out of one of you.
But yeah, I mean, for the most part, it is dry. There's a lot of very, very dry reading. Anytime you try and read cases from before 1940, and half the time they're difficult to read to begin with because they're just very dense language. And the other half of the time, it's not interesting cases to begin with. So it's just, it's bad upon bad. So yeah, you're right. A lot of it is very, very dry and difficult to read. And you get 500 pages of that a night to read for all the classes that you got to do. And it's savage.
Hey, at the same time that was going on, I just saw this post by our buddy Jeff, follow BTC News. And he just put a post out. And this is more of a PSA post. I know some people here do use transfer Steam in and out of their wallets. And apparently he's found a few people that have been putting their private active keys in the memo. So don't do that, people. Here's his post right here. Just don't put your private active key in any memo when you send it out, because it will show up in your wallet and it is public. And like he said, you could have your wallet drained. So don't do it.
Yeah, that's something that's been going on, and if anybody spends any time in the help channel, you'll notice people say, ask questions about that, like, oh, I tried to log back into my account and it won't accept my password, and then one of us, usually it's Dracos, sometimes it's Tim Cliff, but usually it's Dracos, and a couple of other people, go over the account that they're talking about. They look at the wallet and they see that one of the memos for one of the transactions is the private key, and they're like, so this is what happened, and this is why this is being an issue. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I need to spend more time in the help section over there. You do a lot over there?
I did for the first month that I was a witness, and then once law school started out, I don't really have much time to do much of anything besides host shows, and every once in a while put out a post. But yeah, I did start spending a lot of time there. And now that classes are kind of winding down, excuse me, my balls kind of crawl back up into my
I was going to
body
say
cavity for a minute.
I was going to say your voice broke. You're a real boy.
One day I'll be a man. One day I'll be a man. But no, now that classes are over, I'm planning on spending a lot more time over there. Still got to do study, and I still got to study for all my classes for my finals because they're going to be coming up in a couple of weeks. But the rest of my time, I'll probably spend some of that time hanging around and help and just answering questions.
Yeah, that may be a good idea. Do you say, "Hey, by the way, I'm a witness, vote me," or do you not say anything? You just help people.
No, I just help people. If people want to get to know me, then I'll mention it then. But no, most of the time I just answer questions. A lot of the questions are about the length of time that it takes to register accounts, which has been an
Yeah.
ongoing issue.
Well, I was reading that today. Were you? I assume you read a little bit of the Witness channel over there, where they're already hard at work on Hard Fork 21, and there's not really anything about Hard Fork 20 done yet.
Wait, what?
I'm not sure if I read this correctly, but what it sounded like was they are already planning Hard Fork 21, and they really don't have Hard Fork 20 anywhere ready to go. So I'm wondering what in the world's happening here. I think the SMTs um, are sort of going to make Hard Fork 20 sort of a little blip instead of a major change, and 21 is going to be the major change.
Well, I mean, I suppose, but the Velocity Hard Fork, which is Hard Fork 20 for those of you who don't know, the Velocity Hard Fork should have, as part of it, a new system of setting up accounts that uses miners to mine the Steam to burn for account creation as opposed to delegating Steam power. So I mean, that's a huge step to begin with. First of all, I mean that's pretty intense
Well,
because it
yeah,
speeds up the process.
that's
And then so SMTs are not coming out on Hard Fork 20 or
see, that's why I have to read some more. It looks like it's going towards Hard Fork 21, but there's so little information out there right now on it, so I don't know.
huh.
Or let me put it this way: there's so little information that I've been able to find for me to completely understand it the way I want to.
There was a post. It was a 2018 roadmap, and it was talking about features that you'd like to see implemented, and it talked about the Hard Fork 20 and what they were going to do with it. I'll find the link here in a little bit, and I'll post it in the witness chat, and I'll also have it in the show notes. But that post actually talked a little bit about it, which is why I sounded so surprised. I was like, really? It seemed like they were doing that.
Yeah, this was just from what I read in the chat. So, you know, who knows how accurate some of that is?
Well, if you were being a good witness, you wouldn't jump to conclusions.
Trying to make small talk here.
Uh huh. I'll bet you are. I'm just kidding. I know you are.
So, yeah, okay, yeah, it was the Marky Mark that said their focus is on SMT HF21.
Eh, well, I mean, I can't say that's not par for the course, but yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
don't know.
one.
That'll
That's
be
one thing.
interesting.
That's one thing that's always bothered me about Steam is like the minute they do something, the minute they get something out, the minute they get something developed, they're already on to the next thing, and it's just like it's left in the dust. Which, I'm not a software developer, so I don't really have a whole lot of room to speak as far as how you line up your projects, and how you want to devote time and resources to them. But if you're going to implement fairly major changes to the application or the platform that you're developing, I think it would behoove you to give it, 6 months so that way you can, respond to questions and get all the kinks out before getting started and moving forward on something else. That's to me that would make more sense.
It would make sense, but or you have two groups. You have one group that's working on something new, and you have the one group that works on ironing out the blips for what you've just released. I don't know. So, what do you think? Well, the price of Steam has been hovering pretty damn low for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now. Is it something to be concerned about? What do you? What's the deal? What's going on? Tell me, in your opinion.
I don't really think anything's really going on. I know that Bitcoin's bumped back up, and I would be surprised to not see a correlation with the price of Steam. as that continues to move forward. But
Well, hell, Bitcoin jumped over 8 grand today, and it's been on a constant rise up. I don't know.
yeah, well, I mean that's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to organize my thoughts and try and find this roadmap page at the same time. I wouldn't really consider it like a worrying issue. There's going to be dips and there's going to be movement in the price of Steam over time. Now, if it drops, say to 80 and stays there, and then it doesn't kind of continue to crawl back up over time, then we might be looking at a little bit of devaluation. Honestly, I remember when Steam was like 15 cents, so I'm not really too worried about it until it starts significantly dropping in value.
See, I would love for it to go to 15 cents just for a little bit for me to buy up a ton of it. Then
Oh hell yes! Are you kidding me? I don't want that to happen, but at the same time, like that'd be awesome for me.
see, and then I'm reading. I'm over here. I've got Google up, and I'm reading about Bitcoin at this point, just seeing what the price is, and it went up over 8 grand. It looks like it's at about 76 right now. So volatile. But then you see something like Forbes saying, "Hey, Bitcoin could reach $196,000 plus per Bitcoin," and I don't, I don't understand everyone's obsession with actual Bitcoin. It's slow. The fees are incredibly high. And for the most part, you can't really buy any. You can, but it's not convenient to buy goods with it at this point.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. What I think Bitcoin is turning into is, and I mentioned this on my other podcast with for Seeds of Liberty, which is another project I need to get started on and catch up with. But the thing that I see Bitcoin being now is not so much a transactional medium where like people actually use it as cash. I think there's a number of altcoins that are a lot lighter and more nimble. They're a little more flexible and can transact faster. But Bitcoin is turning into the new reserve currency for exchange, right? So I mean, you have Ethereum, you have Litecoin, you have a couple of different alts that are also pretty widely used. But every single exchange I've ever logged into or checked out, every single one of them allows transactions from Bitcoin into other things. This is not necessarily true for any other cryptocurrency. Bitcoin
Oh,
is
I
the
see. Okay.
universal medium of exchange as it stands right now. And it's likely going to be that way moving forward because people will move their coins onto exchanges or from their, wallets or whatever. And Bitcoin will be a store of value, but it won't be a day-to-day transaction medium, right?
I can buy that. I can see that a little bit. I just saw here. I'm not sure. Do you pronounce it Stephanus or Stephanus? Not really sure. I'm going to go with Stephanus. Um, Bitcoin is popular because it's popular. It's like that saying, "How did that girl get on television?" Oh, because because she's famous. Well, how'd she be famous? Because she's on television.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Bitcoin's big claim to fame is they were first. They were the first on the market. They were the first ones to really be widely adopted. So they're always going to have that established kind of prestige, right? So in a way, it's kind of similar to the function that gold used to serve because it used to be the reserve, and you would transact in dollars or whatever dollars, pound, British pounds, lira, so on and so forth. But they were all backed by gold. Gold was the reserve. Gold was the transactional medium between different people that were storing value.
yeah, that makes sense. I can see that. That's a pretty good explanation, actually.
All right, if I can ever friggin' copy and paste this link, my computer's being a dick right now.
Oh, don't you hate that? I was trying to copy and paste earlier. Then I realized I have to let go of the control button on the push to talk. That's a. I got to figure something better out. I need a mouse that I can program with thumb clickers so I can push to talk with that.
Yes, yes. I'm using my shift key right now, and I also type with my left shift key. So every once in a while, when I'm trying to type something in chat, it ends up it ends up looking bizarre, and it ends up sounding bizarre in the room that I'm in. And why is my link red? What is this shit?
Oh, that means you don't have a strong connection right now, my friend. I wouldn't be surprised if we lose Andre in just a second.
I fucking doubt it.
What?
Can you still hear me?
Yes, yes, right now I still
Okay.
can.
All right. Thank
But
God.
that's usually a sign that your internet is acting goofy or you get a weak connection to at least Discord.
Sons of bitches. It's probably all the
That
porn I have cached in my buffer.
you gotta get yourself a swap file. Hey, there it is. There it
Hey,
is.
there it is. There it is.
The never used slash for push to talk. Which is the never used slash? Where's the any key?
Which key is the any key?
So this is the roadmap that we were talking about earlier. Steve at blog put up.
Yeah, okay, so it says Hard Fork 20 is improved account sign up, and then it also says as well as smart media tokens. Now, that could be taken to mean that it's Hard Fork 21 and it's going to come out later in 2018. But I mean, the way it's written and the way I read it, it's supposed should be part of Hard Fork 20. Honestly, this post is actually really good because the input that was given by a lot of the witnesses are serious considerations that need to be taken. ATS David's response and his comment below is, I think, the most complete and the best reasoned, I guess. Yeah, the best reasoned set of features and changes that should probably be on the network.
He's a pretty sharp guy from everything I've read.
Oh yeah, and then here Jest is on here too.
Is this the one where your boy proposed the hard fork for what was it that he was proposing? Did you see that
Uh,
one? The Banfield proposed the hard fork for some sort of payment change,
I don't
and
know. I didn't see him in the I
oh,
didn't see him in the comments on
oh,
this
he
one when I checked.
no, there was one, and there were a couple people saying I unvoted your witness due to how off you were on this post.
Oh
That if you
Jesus.
don't understand, oh, it was. Oh, I gotta find it. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Now I will say this, and this has kind of been an ongoing point of contention among people that are interested in growing the platform, and I think ATS David had something to say about it as well, and he would like a certain like something along these lines. But ads, and I know a lot of people's first reaction is to cringe and recoil in horror at the mention of advertisements on Steemit. However, that being said, if we can fix some of the structural issues as far as account sign up go, and if we can do something about the UI, that was a kind of common theme among all of the comments is we have to do something about the UI. There's nothing wrong with it. Like it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't catch your eye. Like if you were to see this on somebody's screen, you wouldn't immediately associate with, oh, that's Steemit. I've seen that before. It's not
No,
distinctive. It's really not
no,
distinctive.
it looks like a first year college student's HTML. They're like their homework.
It
It
looks
really
like I mean
does.
it looks like a really bare bones WordPress blog. There's really nothing to recommend it as far visually is concerned, right? And so that was also a pretty common thread among everybody was like, okay, we need to have a redesign of the UI and it needs to be an actual redesign of the UI. Go sit down, talk with some graphic artists, figure something out that makes this look distinctive. Makes it look like, okay, this is Steemit and I would recognize it if I saw it.
Yeah, there's the post I put up, and it's interesting to read some of the comments on here. Um, there's some rough comments on this too, but yeah, going back to the changes, the UI is just awful. Um, there's nothing intuitive when you first come on. Um, I did. There needs to be some sort of, hey, welcome to Steam. It here's a little mini walkthrough, whether that be some sort of animation or whatever it can be to help people get started. You can't just tell people, hey, we have this fact right over here. Read this, and this will tell you all you need to know. People need to be have their hands held through some of this. Not everyone does, but if you're going to make it big and you want to make it big with the general public, there's got to be some hand holding going on, and they just don't have it.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing is there's really there's been a lot of organic support that's kind of grown up around this trying to. What the hell is my computer doing? Jesus.
Maybe you need a new computer.
Maybe. Holy shit. Hang on a second.
All right. So while he's talking about that, I'm going to sit there. Yeah, a customizable UI would be awesome. Something where, it's done where I can move this over to here, move it over to the right. I want my trending or left. I'd love to see something like that. I am glad we got a night mode. That pleases me because, but that's pretty much the only thing. This green, I don't understand the green. I don't understand a lot of this. Uh, Lots of changes do need to be made.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't really get what they were going with other than to differentiate it from what it was before. That's the only thing that really comes to mind is why you would go this direction because it doesn't. There's really no difference. There's functionally no difference. I suppose you could argue, okay, well, night mode is a thing. Yes, I agree, and I think it looks good, and I'm happy they did that because it's a lot easier on my eyes instead of having to stare at a white screen. And there's also the option of changing the layout of your feed page, so you could have it more like a blog post, like a Facebook post, or you could have it more like a Reddit post, where it's like a forum type layout. But that's really minor stuff. I mean, it is those are structural functional changes, but it's really minor stuff. That doesn't get to the heart of what the issue is with the UI. It's like missing the
right.
forest for the trees.
Right, and I have to agree with Stefan here on the night mode being broken. Have you seen that whenever a comment is highlighted and there's no way to read it?
Oh Jesus, no, I didn't. That's
You,
terrible.
like sometimes you can send a link of just someone's comment. Well, let's make one here real quick and see what happens.
So the
If
UI,
this,
yeah. So the UI was a big point of contention. A lot of people mentioned the linear rewards and getting rid of that. So instead of it being super linear, which is how the rewards are now, to switching to something between that and the quadratic curve that we had before. So for those of you that aren't aware, Hard Fork 19, one of the things it did was it changed the voting reward curve in terms of like how much voting power you had from a curve like a quadratic n squared to a straight line, right? Now that boosted a lot of the voting power for a lot of people, but unfortunately, it had a very severe impact on how voting was distributed. After immediately after the hard fork, because it was it retroactively affected all posts that hadn't reached payout. So a lot of people saw like 100, 200, $500 post values for the posts that they made, immediately prior to Hard Fork 19. But it eventually tapered off and it kind of got back to normal. But now, I mean, it seems to me, at least, that post rewards have actually kind of dropped overall. And I could be wrong, and maybe I am. But
well, the rewards, yeah, they've been what's the term I'm looking for here? They've been watered down. Uh, there's plenty of them out there. There's plenty of rewards. The same amount of rewards are out there. It's just being concentrated in different areas. Well, I mean, we've seen the rise of the bullshit accounts coming on and the upvote accounts that just make hundreds and hundreds of accounts to upvote themselves at the last minute. And that's all because the way the rewards are going right now. It's pretty easy to automate that and make some money until you're noticed. But it's easy just to keep doing this over and over and over again. Um, so the rewards are there; they're just sort of spread out differently than they were before.
well, not only that, but all of those bullshit accounts, those small bullshit accounts, um, they're going to drain the reward pool by constantly needling out because like now a small vote is going to be worth 10, 15, 20 cents instead of it being, 1 cent. And that's
Well,
it.
yeah, yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's a good point.
So yeah,
I
I
don't know
mean,
what the answer is tonight. I don't. I'm just lucky to have my witness back up and running, much less solve all of Steven's
you and me
problems.
both. You and me both. When I got that message that I was missing blocks, I was like, ah, shit, it's finally happened. And then I checked my RAM and I noticed I was at like 15.2, and
Oh,
that blew me away. I was like, wow, I really thought I was going to have a little bit more time than this.
hey, are you part of the Discord group where you get your notices for missed blocks?
No, but I do have it on Steam at .chat, so
Yeah, there's a Discord called Witness Misses, and that one alerts me because since I have the Discord app on my phone. So I got my witness set up, and I was pretty certain that I was good to go. So I went ahead and shut everything down and went off to bed. And then about 4 o'clock in the morning, I get that alert from the Witness Misses Discord, and I look at that, and at 4 a.m. I'm like, son of a bitch, this didn't work either. So I get up and I come into the laptop in here, and I log on to my server. No, it was fine. Everything was fine. I just didn't read it. It just gave me the alert that I was okay again and I'd recovered. But it didn't say that in just the little tiny thing on the phone. I had to come in here to see it. Just like, all right, I was up at 4 ready to do this.
So, as a word of advice to everybody listening, if you get a message alerting you about something, check what the message says. Might not be an emergency.
Yeah, it wasn't an emergency. I could have slept a little bit longer.
Oh.
All right, we need to work on something here. We need to come up with our witness with a witness project. We need to start onboarding new witnesses. What do you think?
I'm totally down with that. What did you have in mind?
I don't know. They pay us. We set it up. Here you are. Here's your witness, kid.
So, would it be like a referral service?
I have
Almost.
no idea. I'm just spitballing here. I don't know. I'm
Are
just
you going to
like,
be offering? Are you going to be?
you know what? Who am I kidding? I have another project that I just keep staring at the computer on. I'm not going to get this started. I don't even know who I'm trying to fool on this.
Yeah, I was fixing to say if you're trying to convince me, it sounds like you're trying to convince yourself, which is fine. We all have to have delusions of grandeur every once in a while.
Some of us more than others. I seem to have them every day. And
That's only because
I'm
you
having
haven't
a
been.
rough day, man.
That's only because you haven't been browbeaten enough. Don't worry, life will get to
Oh,
you in your turn.
oh, I am 44, my friend. I've been beaten down, spit out, chewed on. Yeah, yeah.
so
You're
this
you're
uh,
still a youngin'.
so this onboarding new witnesses. Now, are we going to charge them $180 to tell them about that and walk them through, or how did
No,
you?
I was thinking $180 to get them set it up for them, and get their VP, their server set up. Get their first month server and set up their witness forum, and say, here you go. Now here's where you need to go and keep up with all this from here on out, but it's running for you.
I think you totally missed the point of me mentioning $180.
No, no, no. I completely caught the point. I've just said I'm just sitting here looking at his little picture with his little blue shirt and his little orange and black jacket on, holding that little water bottle there, and his little green pants, his little black boots. Uh, yeah. Are those green pants? I can't
Jerry's
even
one of those
tell.
guys that like sometimes does something right every once in a while, but the rest of the time he just does sleazy, sleazy, sleazy,
You know what?
sleazy stuff.
No, I know. I just don't want to turn this into the Slam Jerry Banfeld show.
Yeah, no,
It's
I
sort of
get you.
like it's like, all right, what else
I
can we
know,
do
but
with
you
that?
can't
That's
help it.
done.
Every time he's brought up, there's like the kind of sense of discomfort. You're like, ugh.
Yeah, yeah. Oh well,
That is
I
what
don't
it
know.
is. Like I said,
So, what are
he
your
lives.
plans this week? What are your
My
plans this
plans
week? What
this
are you
week.
doing?
My plans this week. I am going to do some more editing for my novel for Steamhouse because now that I have time to do that, I'm actually going to do it. I need to marshal the funds to buy my backup server, and then yeah, that's pretty much all I got on my plate. Is just waiting to come up with enough funds so that I can buy the second 32 gigabyte server as my backup and set up a failover on that. And we'll just uh, we'll just go from there, I guess. I got to do a lot of studying. I know that. I've already accounted that it's going to take up most of my time.
Oh, so you don't have your failover going. You just have your regular going now, right?
Well, I mean, I have my failover, but it's going to fail over to a 16 gig server, so that's not really effective. That doesn't mean anything.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I wonder what the viability of like going in together on a 64 gig, splitting the hard drive in half, and two separate images on there.
Maybe. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't have
yes,
the I don't have the technical expertise to do that, but I would be more than happy to do that with you.
yeah. That's a definite. That's more of an idea more than I don't even know if it's possible. But it's just sitting there, for a failover, that might be okay.
I'm down with that. I really am. I don't know. I like I said, I have no idea how that would work. I'm sure you could possibly do that. I don't see any reason why you couldn't have two witness servers running on a 64 gig machine. I mean, that would barely touch half of the total capacity. So I don't see that necessarily being an issue.
Right. So 64 gig, you basically take the hard drive, partition it into two partitions. One partition would be for you, one for me. And then you have your fall over witness running on one side, mine on the other. Huh. Yeah, it's possible. It's technically possible. Now, to do it in practice may be a different story.
I have to ask Dracos about this. I'm sure he knows. I'm sure he'd be able to give us an answer. That's
Yeah,
that's what we can do for next week. We can figure out whether this is a viable game plan, and then we can see if we'll make it work.
there we go. We may have found a way to cheat the system or
Something like that.
work within the system.
Something like that. No, Steam McGraven, what we were talking about was our failovers. So our primary witness nodes are going to be our own, and then we would have our backups on one server. So both of us would be running our failovers on the same server, but our primaries are going to be separate. So instead of it being, four servers, two and two, it would be three, one each, and then a shared one for the backups. So if we weren't
Yeah,
clear, I apologize. That's what we were meaning to talking about that.
yeah. So no, that's spot on what you just said. Yeah, Greg, it was well what he just said. I don't really need to repeat it because then that's just browbeating, isn't it?
Well, one of my favorite hobbies is beating dead horses.
Just keep beating them over and over and over.
No, not even put any effort into it. Just kind of like knock the stick at him. Just roll your arm. You ain't gonna get tired that way, so you can keep on going for a long time.
Oh, Tiny, you've upset her. A witness pool. That's
I wish it worked that way. Sadly, witnessing is completely different from mining. Now, mining, obviously, if you have 1,000 machines and they're all mining for you, the user, then yeah, that'll actually dramatically increase your power. But with witnesses, if you don't have them votes, you ain't got them votes, boy. And it doesn't matter how many witness machines you have, they're all going to be sitting at like rank 120, processing one block every like 6 months.
Yep. It's one of those. It doesn't matter how much power you have. It's the votes.
Which I guess,
There's,
I mean, if
there,
eventually if you had like 15,000 machines, then yeah. No, Stephanus, the way witness servers work is you only have one witness server per account, so you can't have like how do I want to describe this? Each witness node is linked to one account, right? So you can't make clones of an account.
correct. Now, if you have a big fat wallet, big giant fat wallet, then yeah, you could conceivably take over the top 20 by yourself. But
That's what I'm going to do. If Steam ever hits 15 cents again, I am buying my way into the top 20. Better believe it, baby.
Yeah, yeah. When I win the lottery here, I'll sink. What do I need to sink? About 12 million into Steam.
No, no,
Get
not even
myself
that much.
some.
If it's 15 cents, if it drops down to being like 15 cents like it used to be, uh, before the beginning of this year, so like last winter, if it drops down to that level, you could probably let's see. So 1,000 Steam would be $15, right? So for $1,500, you could get 10,000 Steam. No, 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 no. I take that back. It would be, yeah, it would be 10,000 Steam. So really, it would be like 15,000 would put you in solid footing. You'd be squared away.
15,000 Steam really wouldn't do much for you.
No, 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 $15,000 worth of Steam.
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, yeah. I mean, but you got to think everyone else will be doing that too.
I don't know because see, that's the thing. When it's 15 cents, I don't know how many people are willing to drop 15 grand to secure their position on the witness ranking.
Oh, that's true.
Me, on the other hand, I'll totally take out a loan for $15,000 and buy myself some Steam. So I'm crazy like
See,
that.
yeah. So, what do you think? You throw in. Let me see. About $25 million would get you on the top 20. You have 65 million because isn't that about 65? What the top is? 65 million, or is that bad?
Oh no, you wouldn't even need that much. Here, let me see, because I got Steamy info right in front of me.
Thank you. 67 million megavests. 67,000 megavests, which is basically 67 million vests. That's correct, right? My math is correct.
Uh,
Bueller.
I
Bueller.
I don't know. I can't do that kind of mental math in my head.
Let's split that in half and say that's 30. I don't know.
Well, okay, so
Let's say we have a whole bunch.
where I'm at right now. So I'm at 1,800 steam power, right, and that translates to 3.9 million vests or 3.9 megavests. So to get up to where it would really put me on the map, I would need 10,000 times that.
Why the hell are we doing math?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Why
I
the hell are
don't
we
know.
doing it's 7:43 p.m. on a Friday night. I don't have any beer in front of me, and here we're trying to do math.
I'm terrible at math, by the way. Math is strong suit.
Yeah, yeah, it sure does, Greg. We saw that with our rival that got that vote, and it just put him up here into the top 50. Talking about the pumpkin vote. But yeah, you could conceivably buy your way and control the um, top 20 witnesses by yourself. Because if you're able to afford that much, paying $6 per account to set up your witness would, or witness account would be nothing. So yeah, it could happen. You want to do it? How much money you got? We'll get this started.
Not enough right now. That's why I'm waiting until next week to set up my failover. But next week I should have enough funds to we can rock and roll. So Stefanos wants to know what vests are. Vests are vesting shares of the blockchain. So when you talk about Steam Power is an aggregate of vests or vesting shares. So to put it into perspective, so right now the amount of Steam Power I have in my account is like right around 1,800, a little bit more than 1,800. That translates to 3.9 million vesting shares. So try and think of vesting shares as like fractions of Steam that represent your total stake. Don't ask me why they have it set up this way. That's just how the blockchain actually works on a fundamental technical level. The tokens that we use day to day represent portions of that. All right, so Greg asks, does it change day by day with the addition of new Steam? The value of a vest does not. A vest is an absolute value.
Oh, Tiny's got her big presentation about the CT scans, don't you?
Oh, awesome. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I forgot about that. She was all nervous about it. I was going to have her come on. Oh, I told her she could come on and, present to us. Well, I forgot all about that. And then she's got it tomorrow. You're going to do great, Tiny. Just go
Oh,
in there.
yeah.
Remember, you're the expert. All these people are in there just watching. They don't know jack diddly. No, you're not going to suck at it. You're going to do
No,
great.
no, no. Stop beating
You're the
yourself over the
expert.
head.
They don't know. You're just like, hey, this is the way it is. This is the way it's going to be. Now listen to me. I'm the expert. You guys just kick back. You make this cool. We'll be out of here in 20 minutes. We'll be at the bar drinking drinks.
You're going to rock it, Tiny. I promise
Just
you, you
remember,
will
nice
handle
and
it.
slow. You know all of this. You know all of this.
Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast.
Well, of course, the dogs weren't understanding a thing. So you're trying to explain it to them over and over. That's why you were stammering. You're going to be talking to people that will actually have a lot of understanding on this.
Another thing to keep in mind, and this helps me when I have to talk in front of a group of people, if I feel myself start to if I feel myself start to stutter and feel like I want to stammer and kind of lose my words, slow down the pace of your talking. It's going to sound a little awkward, but it's going to allow you to kind of